whatever the road scrimmage.
house we were in before this furnace was about 50 years old when we changed it. Of course, the heat bill went down to about a third of what it was after you changed it. But it was an old gas furnace and thing was
Where'd y'all live before?
on East Centennial Street. You know, Kathy Jacobs. No,
I like that house.
Lucky today.
Keith Copeland Senior built that house. It was a well-built house.
Okay, let's begin. This is the June 9th at 6 p.m. The City of Clinton Planning Commission. Our first, I'll call this meeting to order. Is there any approval or changes needed to the minutes of May 7, 2026 Planning Committee meetings? Any changes needed or that you've seen need to be addressed?
I make a motion we approve the minutes presented.
I second it.
Just one
All in favor?
error I saw,
Oh,
typographical error.
Yes, we saw that.
You saw that on page 4?
We'll make that, yes, we'll make that
Great.
change.
Great, thank you. Okay, so the minute has been approved and second, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All in favor, by sign of aye? Okay, it is unanimous. Our next order of business is old business. Are there any old business? Okay. The new business is text amendment discussion on single-family residential allowed as a permitted use in the RMH zoning district. Are there discussions and pertaining to this, and is someone here to speak about that, or
I can.
you can?
In working through the ordinance, it's come to our attention that there is some issues related to the RMH zoning district. It's a residential zoning classification that the city has. There are a number of properties inside the city limits that are zoned with this designation that allows for duplex residential units, small multifamily residential buildings, civic buildings, and mobile or manufactured homes. However, there are some references to single-family residential, and we have single-family homes and developments within the city that are zoned this designation. In your packet, I have provided you with, or at your station, I provided you with a copy of the actual RMH standards. On page 2 of this portion, it says under 4.1, the intent of the district is to accommodate manufactured housing development in concert with conventional dwellings. There's nothing in the ordinance that tells me what a conventional dwelling is, but I assume that would mean single-family homes.
To me, that's what that means, single-family homes would mean conventional, but that's what I think it would mean.
Okay, and then under 4.2, it says minimum lot size and minimum lot depth. That includes 5,000 square feet for single-family dwellings and 50 feet for single-family dwellings. So from there, you would have the understanding that most likely single-family dwellings would be allowed. But if you go to 4.3 on page 3, it says it lists all the permitted uses, and they are duplex residential buildings, small multifamily residential buildings, civic buildings, and mobile and manufactured homes. So single-family residential is not listed as a permitted use in the zoning district. However, under subsection B on page 5, it lists items that are specifically prohibited. And it states at the beginning, the following uses shall be prohibited in the RMH district, lists the particular uses that are not allowed. And then under number 10, it says any use not listed as being permitted is prohibited. So from that, I think there is an intention to have single-family residential. We certainly have a history of single-family residential in the RMH district. However, in my opinion, your ordinance doesn't give myself or any of the staff here at the city the ability to permit a single-family dwelling. So I'm asking for you to consider a text amendment to specifically identify single-family homes as a permitted use, which, if you feel like this is necessary, we would advertise this for your July meeting.
I think that was clearly the intent of the wording that was in there, that single-family be allowed in there, I think it was probably just overlooked. And the fact that it's not on the prohibited list supports that too, because if they didn't want it on there, they would have put it on the prohibited list. And since it's not, and it refers to single family a couple of times in there, I think that was the intent to have it in there. So I think that would be reasonable to add that, single family dwellings in there, with the restrictions that are on there, the 5,000 square feet, the 50-foot frontage, and, you know, all the stuff that's already in there that we don't have to add. What do y'all think?
Do we wanna leave the 5,000 square feet,
Yeah.
or should we go to the,
That's what R3 is.
Yes,
Cause I went and looked, that's what I looked at to see if the,
Yeah.
I wouldn't necessarily change that unless you were to look at all of the districts, because you have some peculiarities between different residential. When you move one, it kind of affects the other, so I would look at all of them if you were going to do that.
So you say leave it 5,000 square feet unless we were going to look at all of them? Yeah, I don't want to do that. R3 type house would fit better in an RMH than anything else, I think. Okay.
Yeah, and you also need to think of the manufactured and mobile homes that you currently allow in that zone. They tend to have smaller lot sizes
Mhm.
just because the homes
Mhm.
aren't as big as some others. So, something to think about.
I make the motion that we add single family dwelling in the section to clarify that they will be allowed.
I'll second.
Okay. And just for clarification, we'll bring that to you next month as a public hearing, for your review and recommendation.
Okay.
Okay.
Good.
But everyone else needs to vote on that.
Okay, is there a vote? All in favor, raise your hands. Aye. Anyone against? Unanimous. Okay. All right, let's go to our next item. Development review, Craigton Ridge preliminary review. If you look at that.
Thank you. This is a request by West Bowling of Canebrake Civil for preliminary review of Creighton Ridge. The development is located off of Creighton Ridge Drive, which is behind the Hampton Woods development off on Charlotte Road. The acreage is about 44.5 acres. This property is zoned RMH. They intend to develop it as single-family residential. There have been a number of, and the plan has been provided to you at your desk. This has there's been some modifications since the packet went out. There were some items that were submitted back to the engineering firm that are listed in your packet, but then I've given you a new page with red and green on those. All of those have been addressed. Items 5 and 7, talking about deed restrictions, they intend to do this at the final approval stage. And under number 7, that is pending your review and recommendation at your July meeting.
I think this
As we just discussed with the RMH zoning. So from our standpoint, they are in good shape with those 2 conditions that would be handled at a later point, but should not affect their development timeline.
So that you're talking about the deed restrictions, that's what you were talking about?
That's
Yeah.
correct.
What do the deed restrictions say now?
They haven't developed those because
Okay, they haven't developed,
they're
okay.
in preliminary stage.
Okay.
But they'll provide those at the final approval, and you'll get to see those as well.
Okay.
I will point out that this is a continuation of the Creighton Ridge Drive, so there will be an extension of that, and the development will also connect into the Lydia Mill area at the intersection with Palmetto Street and Beach Street. On your map, our plan is at the top right corner, which is actually south. Does everyone see that?
I will see it.
And they intend to make these roads public, dedicated to the city, and they will access the city won't be able to access that, for consideration, for adoption of those roads into the city system based on the Beach Street and Palmetto Street, being, state roads.
So they couldn't, so you're saying they couldn't use Palmetto and Beach Street?
They could,
They could.
because they're public roads, even if they're
Okay.
state maintained.
Is Cambridge, the road that's there now, is it public road or private?
Cambridge,
Yeah, Cambridge Ridge Drive.
Creighton Ridge.
Creighton Ridge.
I mean, Creighton, excuse me,
Yes,
Creighton Ridge.
the roads in Hampton, Hampton Boys are private, and so the city does not maintain those roads.
Not even the Ryan Homes?
I don't believe they do.
Yeah.
The information I looked at the other day, through the county tax assessor.
Right.
Shows us as private roads.
Yeah.
So
Highland
this-
Station.
So this is considered a subdivision, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Unless they are able to connect to a public road, the city's not able to bring them into the system if they don't have physical, adjacency to those roads.
And I think, I read something there, I can't find it right now, where private roads cannot be used as the entrance to a subdivision. Is that correct?
I'm not familiar with that, but this would not apply to this, that would not apply to this, development.
Well, if it goes through Hampton Woods, it would.
It is, but that's
Yeah.
not their only access into the.
Okay. I went over and looked at that intersection of Beach and Palmetto Street. Palmetto's one way coming in. I think that's a problem because you got to go back out if you come in. Plus, those streets are very narrow. There's Beach Street, there's Palmetto Street, there's another street, and then there's Pine Street over the edge, and they're all part of Lydia Mill, so they're all very narrow roads, and they weren't built to city spec standards when that was built, I'm sure, because they were built a long time ago. So to me, I don't know if that's adequate access to this property for the number of houses they're proposing to build in there. I think I read there's 161.
That's right.
Is that right? Let me find what I was looking at about the roads, because that's important.
Finally looking, Yogi Berra once said, got my quote now. This is deja vu all over again.
Yeah.
And, you know, one of my concerns has always been traffic flow. Now, I'm looking at this project, and I think Brandy Lane is not going to be accessible. Am I correct?
That's right. They don't intend to.
Okay, now, if I'm in this subdivision, and I wanted to go downtown, I'll guarantee you that I would not go all the way through Lydia Mill and weed my way in and out of those roads to get downtown. And that means that all this traffic flow is going down Creighton Ridge. Now, 161 lots, I think it's reasonable to assume that we have 2 cars per family. Can you imagine the congestion at Charlotte Road at 8 o'clock in the morning? I think that's a real issue. And I don't think that access to Beach Street is a good solution to it.
Definitely not. It's just too narrow, and it's too heavily a developed area. I found what I was looking for. It's in Chapter 3 under Site Design, Construction Standards, and Required Improvements. It's got circulation system. In the first part says, in B, it says, in residential subdivisions, the street system shall be designed to serve the needs of the neighborhood and to discourage use by through traffic. So what they're going to be having is through traffic through 2 neighborhoods to get to the development, and that says we're supposed to discourage that. And then on down on private streets, which Creighton Ridge Drive and Brandy Lane are private streets, it said they meet the same minimum design standards required for public streets, have direct access to a public street, and are laid out so as not to serve property outside the subdivision from which they are a part. So if you take that to mean what it means, I think, you can't come in either one of those ways because you're going to be directing traffic through to a subdivision from which it's not a part. That makes sense?
That's to me.
I mean, it's not crystal clear, but it's clear to me.
If you do take that to the letter of the law, the only entrance they would be able to have would be on Beach Street, because that's the only public access they have.
But they're going through a neighborhood to get there.
Either way, they're going through a neighborhood. One is public and one is private, and you can't limit them the ability to not access through
I-
the public
well,
right of way.
I mean, this is just my opinion. I'm not speaking for anybody else. In my opinion, that's not adequate access for 161 home sites.
And that's certainly an option for you. However, your zoning does allow for that density and the lot sizes that they've permitted for that. And, Mr. Bolden's here to answer any questions that you have specifically on the development.
Okay?
Good afternoon, I'm Wes Bowman, I'm from Cambridge Center. I just wanted to just point out the Creighton Ridge type is being worked through with that development, with that HOA. So that's, and ironically, when Creighton Ridge was built, there was intention for it to go into this property as well. So we're maintaining that same alignment, we're maintaining that same connection point. But right, it is a private road, but our roads will be built to city standards and public standards. In the Lydia Mills section, that is DOT maintaining, so usually with subdivision of this size, it is two access points that you want to have, and which is what we're providing. And like Phil said, our only other connection point is at that, or this entire property is at that Beach Street, intersection. So we want to utilize both of those access points. So that's how we came up with this. It's the zoning for it. We're going with 5,000 square foot as a minimum lot size. Most of these are 6,000. I think there's only just a couple of them that are less than 6,000 square feet. Which is not as high density as what we see on our beach or on the homestead. So we're actually proposing a lower density than what that we're getting.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with the development. I think the development looks fine, and where it is, that's entirely appropriate for that area. My only concern is getting in and getting out. You also got to consider emergency vehicles, school buses, and then just general traffic. That's going to put a great burden on those streets on Lydia. Do we have to have a public hearing for this? We don't.
Wes, will SCDOT require a transportation study for this one? Because of the number of units?
It's usually if it's under 200 units, I don't believe they
Okay.
ask for it.
Gotcha. I would point out that your fire standards do identify that developments over 99 lots, I believe, is the threshold, have to have 2 entrances into the site.
Oh, that's what the fire says? Okay.
That's
Well,
correct.
and I think that's reasonable, yeah.
Yeah, so in the past, we have allowed those for emergency access points, but they do prefer to have 2 access points for something over around 100 lots.
Is there any way to get another access point, and looking at this layout, to the left side of that, over toward where Copeland Plaza used to be, is there any way to get another access point in from that side of the development? I don't know who owns Copeland Plaza. Does the city own Copeland Plaza property now? I don't know.
TN Management.
Okay.
TN properties, yes.
Yeah.
That's
If you had an access point there, then I think it would be a no-brainer, but I don't know if you can get one there or not.
Is there a way to make Creighton Ridge a city road? I guess the city would have to own it or accept it, but someone would have to get it to those standards?
Correct. What typically happens in those cases when a pre-existing road is in place and they want to bring it to city standards, first they would have to apply, then they would have to find any historical data as to how it was constructed, if that's available. In addition to that, they're going to have to do core tests to determine if whatever is there, whether it meets city standards. If it does meet city standards, then it can move forward with the process of being accepted by the city. If it is not, then it has to be upgraded to that standard depending on what's current, what it was constructed to at the time. Then the cost of making those modifications would not be a part of the city. Typically, it would fall either to the developer if they were still available, or to the homeowners association if the developer is no longer the one who is managing or owning the road right of ways.
That was built in 2 stages. We were talking about this before the meeting. Stage 1 was back in the 90s. I'm thinking 93 or 94, if my memory serves me correct. The second phase started, what, 2 or 3 years ago? I don't know how long it's been.
Now, the, down on Essex, those buildings, that was more 2021, 22,
Okay, that's what I'm
probably.
thinking, yeah. I'm guessing those roads that were built with the second phase may have been built to city standards or close. I'm also guessing that the ones built in the first part were not even close. They
Yeah,
didn't even
but
put
then
curbing in.
Ryan Holmes, you know, I don't know what I certainly don't have the
Because there's no
expertise
curb
to
in there,
judge,
which
but
was supposed to
There's
happen.
curb and
I mean-
gutter in
Yeah.
the second phase.
What's that now?
There's curb and gutter in the second phase.
Yeah, in the second phase, they did the roll curb and it looks nice, but that was not done in the first phase, so if I
down
had
on the
to
Highland
guess.
Station area,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
Ryan Holmes, right?
yeah. I don't remember.
Yeah,
who
that's a
did
booger,
that.
because when you do talk about school buses going down that road, what do you do when the road is in ill repair?
A private road,
Yeah,
that's a whole other process of notification to whoever is the owner or manager of the right of way.
Is there any way for us to know who is the owner and manager of that right of way?
Of Creighton Ridge Drive.
Yeah,
Agnew Development owns the first part of it.
Is.
Agnew
is
Development,
curb
yeah.
gutter, Is that a requirement?
Yes.
City road?
You need to read through that section because it's pretty hefty requirements, and we just updated that recently. And all the infrastructure built in the subdivision has to meet those standards: curbing, paving, inspections, and all the other stuff that goes in. It's pretty detailed, and it's probably pretty costly too. I don't know what it costs to build roads now, but to do them, and they have to be built to DOT spec. So you're talking about a lot of money.
There's 6 different curbing types.
Yeah, yeah. That's something we really tightened up on for the reason that like this development was built and they weren't built. So if the city were to take them over, they're buying a pig in a poke. They don't know what they're getting without going in there and drilling and doing tests to see how the roads were built. But I'm sure they didn't go to great expense to build those roads. I would be surprised if they did. I wouldn't have if I were building that. I'd do it the cheapest way I could and build my houses and get out of there. But that's why we're doing it, to make sure the city doesn't get stuck with a big repair bill in the future that they have to be built to DOT spec. And inspected by a licensed engineer that the city specifies or hires, and all that's got to be done at the development cost. So it's a big cost of a development.
Just as a reminder, this item will go to the tree commission, which I believe 2 of you are members of the tree commission. They do plan to have trees within the road right of way or along the road right of way. And that will be, more information will be provided to the tree commission at that time. Additionally, they do not provide or do not have on the plans identification of sidewalks, which are not required, but I need to let you know that if you choose to require that, that would just need to be stipulated at the beginning.
So let me summarize for a minute, make sure I'm on the right track with everybody else, okay? Summarize what we're talking about. I think we're all in agreement not all in agreement, but we don't really have questions about the development other than the access in and out. So the question is about the Creighton Road, whether or not who would be responsible to pay for that road to have better access for the people who are going to live there. Is that where we pretty much are right now? Okay, so what would be the next step in that? We have to do more research on the Creighton Road, or,
I can provide you that information at your next meeting.
okay,
However, I don't know by me determining for you who the owners
it's
are,
gonna help.
whether that would make if it would give you a reason to deny the request, make additional requirements on the request, whether it's Mr. A or Company Z,
Mhm.
you know, it is who it is, and if there's issues with that road, the city can make contact with that person and bring them to whatever standard they need to be. I think at this point, the items that are before you are access, whether you want to require a transportation study for something that's smaller than what DOT typically requires as far as total number of units. Whether you want to have sidewalks in this area when I don't believe Hampton Woods has.
They do not,
They
they
do
do
not.
not have sidewalks.
Sidewalks, so,
Yeah.
you know, if you did require sidewalks, they're kind of stuck out there by themselves. They're not linked to anything.
I
So,
don't-
I think at this point, your review is based on whether it meets the standards of your ordinance.
I just want to point out one more thing too about the Creighton Ridge Drive. That does have a right of way that is private road right of way, but it goes all the way to the property line of this parcel. So it's just seems to me like it was an overall intent for that to continue on.
Would the residents along Creighton Ridge, would they be given a chance to look at this and say yea or nay? I mean, I don't know.
Your process is if a developer meets your standards, then it's approvable. If they don't meet your standards, then it's not approvable.
Okay.
So
Okay.
in this case, it's not open for discussion at a public hearing because the standards are what they are.
Yeah, okay.
So they do meet the standards, is what you're saying?
That's what this information is providing to you of
Right.
how they meet the standards and what options you have to modify or add additional requirements to them.
But you did say the fire department, they do require 2 entrances, correct?
Yes, if it's over 100, 99 to 100 units, they typically
Okay.
require to
Okay.
access.
But I was hearing you say that the density may be lower than what's stated here? Is that correct?
No, well, just the density of what is allowed under the MH zone.
Okay.
Drive around and
The
around.
density we're proposing
Lydia Mill
is
to get
less
into that.
Because that, if I'm looking at it, it said 161
I'm sorry, you said
lots.
the density is what?
And if
Um,
these people in Hampton Woods, that'd be
The density that we're showing
Uh-huh.
is less than what would come in for a mobile home park, which is what this is zoned for.
Okay.
Brandy Lane attaches also. I mean, can we say, would the traffic study look at whether it's a private or a public road?
It's a private road, I
It's a
know.
private-
I mean, I know it's
Yeah.
private, but what I'm saying, would that be taken into account if there is a traffic study?
I don't know if the ownership so much is involved in the traffic study. More so would be traffic volume and what's currently managing and how much is being added to those existing roadways. Therewith, all of that kind of information and whether like additional turn lanes need to be added at those major intersections like at Charlotte's Road or within the Middle Village. So that's what they would be looking at more so. Have you seen that in any of the traffic studies where they looked at private or public?
Not for access roads.
Okay. I did mention like having an emergency access at Brandy Lane to the fire department, and I haven't seen anything where they thought that was necessary.
Probably because you can't drive down it. It's kind of rough, but
Have you
It's
been
not
through there?
fun.
Have you been through there lately? Randy Lane?
not lately, because
I went down it the other day. It's,
It's your four-wheel drive truck.
it's, yeah, that's
it's
why.
raining,
They won't
yeah.
be able to get trucks down.
No, well,
So if we're going to approve it, or if we're not, what other stipulations do we want to request?
Correct.
Correct? Okay. So are there other stipulations we want to request during our discussion?
I think a statement from the fire department, what they think is adequate or not adequate in the interests to this subdivision.
This plan was provided to all public service departments, building inspection, public works, and I did not receive any issues or comments by yesterday. So from that, I'm under the assumption everything that they're all in favor of the request, no issues.
Okay. Okay.
So maybe this is, my question is, it's a little bit odd, for me. My question is, does the school system have any type of say with the buses? You see what I'm saying?
Our engines are larger than the school buses. So if we can get a fire truck down there, we can get a school bus down.
And the school buses don't have the same requirement for front suspension that a fire truck does. Like if you have a very high speed bump, a fire truck can't go over it, because we had to rip all our speed bumps up at the high school that we paid a fortune for because fire trucks wouldn't go over.
Okay.
I was just thinking,
Live and learn.
children,
I wouldn't have
years
thought of that.
down the road, and
Me either, but the
when
fire
you don't have
Yes, they do. Yeah,
the
they can't get
proper
over.
access, children are just that, they're children. They're not gonna always get out the way. So I'm just trying to have a little, forethought and vision years down the road, so that if somebody's child is not hurt, those type of things.
I think make an observation about sidewalks. I go through Hampton Woods fairly regularly. They have one mail kiosk up in the front. Anybody wants to go check their mail walks down the middle of the road. And I've been to other subdivisions where they require a sidewalk on at least one side of the road to keep people from having to walk down the middle of the road. And that makes common sense to me. And the other thing is, I don't care which one of these exits or entrances you look at. I think they're going to be detrimental to the existing neighborhoods. That's just my opinion.
Question, when you say detrimental, you're meaning that it will not be a positive outcome for them?
Absolutely.
You think it will not
I
be?
mean, if I lived on Creighton Ridge and I'm looking at 161 homes that are gonna come out every day, they're gonna go right by my front yard.
I would think the people in Hampton Woods, if that's the way that they're gonna come in and out, would be very upset.
Very what?
And
Very
lineage.
upset.
Very
You're
upset.
talking the possibility of 300 and, let's say 300 cars every day coming in, additional to their neighborhood coming in and out.
Because now those people that live coming in, the only cars that come by there are the ones that live on the second street down that way, which is what, 15 houses, 15, 16 houses? That's pretty normal traffic for a subdivision. 300 is not, so I would be
Yeah,
happy if I
yes.
lived there.
When you go down the road, the driveway spaces are not sufficient to accommodate all the cars, so they park on the curb. And then that's an issue.
I wonder how many cars go down West Maple, West Walnut. You know, you
I know, you do that.
choose an area of College View. I'm just saying that, I think that would give perspective if you could process how many cars are going through going
No,
by my
because-
house.
No, because if they go by your house, they're gonna be the end of the street and another block. You're talking about going into a development with 161 houses. That's
Yeah, but
something
we
totally
have
different.
kids going to Thornwell.
I know.
Well,
I know.
all of that
But
traffic, so what
neighborhood
I'm
doesn't go by that
saying
far.
is,
It's not the sheer number of houses.
I do think more cars travel the roads near us than we recognize.
Oh, yeah.
I think we would be probably amazed at the numbers.
But-
To me, it's just whether or not that Creighton Ridge Road, there's a plan to keep it up. That's what matters to me personally. I just pulled up on Paragon. I don't have the legal document. I mean, if I have time, I'll keep looking for it and trying to find the actual homeowners association covenants and restrictions. But I do know if you live on Highland Station Drive, that's that very back road in that subdivision, there is a $96.25 homeowners association fee that is quarterly. So they pay nearly $400 a year. I would imagine, I don't have proof, but that's going towards roads. And to me, if I am fine with it, if I know that their homeowners association has set up something for those roads.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Roads, maintenance of common properties, lighting on the street lighting,
Right,
maintaining the detention ponds.
yeah.
It's more than just roads.
Right, and is it for all of Creighton Ridge? Because the front part of Creighton Ridge was Homes of Hope. You know, you just, and well, the Ryan Homes, one of those goes to the end. I just think that would be something good to know.
But the difference between College View and this proposal is, if I want to get on Broad Street, I can go down Maple, I can go down to Thornwell, I
Right,
can get on
right.
Walnut Street, I can go to Pine Street, I can go to Spruce Street.
Got all
I
of
can
those
take
grids.
Chestnut all the way to Highway 72. So,
Yeah,
we're not talking about Diffusion Junction.
right. Yeah.
Other discussion? Question. When we're looking at these lots, we're saying 161 lots, this will also be where houses would go, correct? Okay. So and I think I remember reading a while back, we had approved like 900 or something already. And we're looking for the growth of Clinton. Then, and I hear you're saying, Heather, about the sidewalks and things like that. People say things like that. Is that something we could actually request, that they place sidewalks there?
Your standards do allow you to require sidewalks where you deem that they are necessary.
Okay, all right. So we can deem it necessary for sidewalks. I think you said that the fire truck can get in and out. So if the fire truck can get in and out, the buses can get in and out. We're trying to preserve, the historic look of Clinton. But I do think that I'm going back to my thought of, if we're talking about growth, then if we're looking at growth, then why wouldn't this be a step toward growth? It's going to be detrimental to, I would say more changes for anybody, for everybody. Whether they see it as negative or positive is up to them. But I would be more inclined, and I may be the only one, I would be more inclined to say yes towards this, with sidewalks, with all these things looked at, and then also what you're saying about with the homeowner association be responsible for some of that. And that's my opinion of it. So is there more? Excuse
You
me?
mentioned 900 houses approved. Any more like 1,700
I just remember.
that we've actually approved in the
How much
various
was it?
subdivisions
Last
around?
time it was 1,400.
1,400,
And I
okay,
think
well,
we've
I
had two
stand
since
corrected.
then.
I
Two more
stand
subdivisions
corrected.
since then, so
Okay.
more than 1,400.
And then we're
probably.
talking about the other things coming out, the baseball complex and all these things coming aboard. People are not gonna wanna live here if they don't have a place to stay. Any other comments or discussions about it?
I agree. I like the plan. I just believe that we need to make sure that the movement, sidewalks, and using those roads, the regular person on the street, if I wasn't on planning commission or involved in real estate, I would have no clue whether a road was privately or publicly owned. I would assume it was public, that the city or the government was always going to keep it up and maintain it. I would have no clue, and I just think that I think we have a duty.
So could we
For
ask
people
for it to
to-
be more refined about the roads?
Yeah.
Could we ask that they be a little more definite about how the roads would be used and how they would be kept up and who would be responsible for them? Could we ask that? Could that be a part of the details?
If they are going to dedicate the roads to the city and the city accepts them, then the city is the one who will be maintaining them in perpetuity. So after the review period,
After the period?
yeah. So with that, that's how they will be maintained long-term, is they would become the cities.
Mhm.
The city would then identify whether they need to be repaved, pothole fixes, all that kind of stuff. Sidewalks would also come under that, and they would be responsible for the sidewalk system that was put in place.
Okay.
But at the point they asked, the city would make a decision, yes, we will take them on, or no, we won't.
Yes.
And a lot of that is how they were built in the beginning and where they built the DOT specs, so forth, all the requirements that we have. So it's not a guarantee they're gonna be accepted, it's just
I hear
if
you.
they meet the standards.
Well, your standards say they have to meet DOT standards.
Yeah,
And
Okay, good point.
If they don't meet DOT standards, they have to be brought to DOT standards. So if I bring a road to the city and I have identified that they meet DOT standards and everything that the city has identified as being a standard for roads within the city, and I've met all those thresholds, there's really no reason why the city would not
Yeah.
accept that.
Okay, good to
But-
know, good to know.
the development we approved down on, Main Street, have any of y'all been by there lately?
Yes, sir.
Okay, they built that, and I don't think those roads were built to DOT spec when they built it. They've since gone back and dug them all up, and they're in the process of fixing them, and I think they're doing a good job. But I would hate to be the person paying for the work that's being done, because they are doing considerable work. They're digging down several feet below where the curbing is and starting to layer it the way it should have been done the first time. And I think they're paying a big price. Of course, that's on the developer. That's not on the city. That's on the developer. And I bet you, if you ask them, I bet you they wish they'd done it right the first time.
Right. Any other items related to this development?
Well, I'm still, not clear on this, access. Where can the access, the two entrances and exits? That's a real big problem for me. If at 99 even, that's just a lot of congestion. I do realize that as citizens, anywhere, I mean, the cars and all of that now, I can catch myself going through town and like, what is going on? Because of the traffic. So I can only imagine what it is to live in that area, and it takes me 10, 15 minutes to get out of my neighborhood. So, I'm regard with that, we need to figure it out before, as far as I'm concerned, that we go forward on it.
To one of Heather's earlier points, she said, the homeowners association in phase 2 of Hampton Woods are paying $400 to maintain the roads.
Now, I don't know for sure. I'm
Yeah.
looking it up. I don't have the, and I've got it pulled up, but I don't have time to read through the whole covenants and
Well,
restrictions.
let's
I
assume
found
that's
them.
reasonably correct. Are they gonna be responsible for maintaining these roads so that this new subdivision can come through?
Right.
That's not right.
Then maybe what we could say is, we support this subdivision as presented, as long as there are 2 state-maintained or publicly maintained roads in and out. I mean, I don't know whether that's the
Can we
right
say that?
wording,
Can we
but
say that?
If you say that, and the owner of Creighton Ridge Drive does not agree to that, then that development does not move forward.
Okay.
So that developer can hold that, or that owner of Creighton Ridge Drive can basically hold up the process for this
Mhm.
development
Yeah.
based on that statement.
Going back, Robbie, when you said about going through the neighborhoods. So, are you saying it did not meet the standard? If I understood Phil correctly, if you hold it to the letter,
Mhm.
what you were saying, if you hold it to the letter,
Mhm.
then it's a no. Did I understand that correctly?
Well, yeah,
What you
looking
read.
at the possible points that go in, I don't know about Creighton Bridge Road. I don't know if that meets the standards or not. I'm guessing the first part doesn't and the second part may, but I don't know that because I don't remember when those roads were
Those
built.
standards were in place after the road was constructed,
Yes.
so.
In the second phase, in the first phase, probably not. But for the city to take them over, they have to meet the standards no matter when they were built. So I don't know about that. I know Brandy Lane does not. I mean, you ride down there and it's pretty obvious that it doesn't meet any standards. I call it more of a trail than a street or a road. But Cambridge, I just don't know because the first part was built so long ago in the early 90s and the second part was built, 3 or 4 or 5 years ago. I'm guessing that it probably was. I don't know, but I don't know that. But I mean, that's probably something we need to know before we move forward with it, I would think.
There were some road issues on phase one, where when they put the utilities under the road, they didn't pack it properly, and
They all sunk, yeah.
they all sunk.
And you can see that, yeah.
I'm pretty sure that Harry fixed that at his expense.
Yeah.
Harry Agnew, who was the developer of that project.
Yeah.
Now, the new roads, I don't know whether the homeowners association owns them or whether the developer still owns them. Do you know?
No, that's what we're trying to do.
Yeah, I'm not even sure who the developer is on phase 2. I don't know. We just don't know.
Anderson.
Yeah.
Okay. Further discussion? Do you want to put some stipulations on this, or will we prepared to vote at this time, or want to discuss further? Anything else need to be discussed?
Can we table until more information is shared?
If you postpone to another date, we would need a list of the things that you want us to determine or find out, or the developer or their engineer provide, in order for you to be more comfortable in making a decision at a future meeting.
Okay.
We don't need to string them along. We need to give them a
Right, we
definite
don't need to
date
do that.
and definitely what we want to see. Yeah.
So I'm thinking that the major concern is the access, but I'm hearing what you're saying also. It depends on whether or not the city adopts that as that they're going to take care of that road. That's correct?
Creighton Ridge Drive,
Yes.
we're not.
No, I think I'm talking about the other road.
What other end? Because the other road,
Beach
other
Street?
access point is a state road.
Okay, that's a state road.
We wouldn't be involved in.
You wouldn't be doing
So
that
there's
one, okay?
one
You're talking
state
about
road.
Creighton, okay. So come on, y'all, let's,
So
what are the,
how-
what are you asking?
How does the beach street and it being a state road, how would it affect this project then? If we could get the access then? If
How
we
would
could-
that road affect this project, or how
Yes.
would the project affect that road?
Right.
Yes,
The only way you're gonna determine that is through a DOT, traffic impact study. So
and how much time does that take?
it just depends on the extent, whoever they contract with to do the study, how long it takes DOT to review the information, all of that. You have an idea?
Probably take 2 months, depending on when they will let us do the traffic investigation. You have to let the traffic data first. And then they'll run simulations on what this development will do from, I guess, 5 years from now, like a 5-year build out. They do a comparison of what the traffic is like 5 years from now if it's not built. They do that compared to this were built, the projected traffic based off their, all DOT reports.
So what is before us right now is whether or not we would approve this with our concerns or not.
Well, you can approve it, you can deny it, you can approve it with
Okay.
Or you can table or postpone to a later time pending the obtaining of specific information
Information.
to make your decision.
Okay. Is there a motion? Come on, good people. Is there a motion?
I would like to approve it, but I don't know what conditions. So I think if we can agree on what those conditions need to be, I like the plan.
Okay.
I like the plan too.
Mhm.
The access to it's the only problem I have. The plan, I think, looks fine.
Yeah.
And it's in an appropriate place for that type housing. That's right.
Granted, these are the only access points that this property is allowed.
Kind of
Say it
landlocked,
again.
yeah.
I'm sorry.
These are the only two access points that is reasonable access points. Granted, Lane is not reasonable.
Reasonable access points.
Oh boy, Randy Lane would be perfect.
And one of them is to the.
Yeah, but it's literally a trail. I rode it this week and it's not
My
adequate at all.
plan access from.
It's not adequate for the subdivision that's there.
Can I make a recommendation?
Yes, go
Yes.
right ahead.
It sounds to me like you would be best served if you had the information of who is the current owner of Creighton Ridge Drive, of the existing roadway. So that would be the first item. The second item, even though I would hate to request the expense of the developer, but the only way you're going to know how much this development impacts the existing roads, whether they be private or public, is to require a traffic study. I would be very surprised if the information that comes back makes substantial changes to any of the roadways, based on the things I've seen in the past. But that, each one's different, and each one's unique in their own way.
How costly would that be, do you think? I don't know.
Costly for a traffic study?
Yeah.
What's the current rate?
$10,000 to $15,000.
That's a lot of money, just to me.
I don't think it's gonna impact it that much, traffic. I don't think a traffic study is gonna tell us what we need to know, really.
No, I think it's gonna
Which
tell
is-
us what we
it's
gotta
a
do.
big-
My usual threshold is
Yeah. A lot of it's,
more than 200 houses.
a lot of it's spent for,
We can provide you with traffic volumes on the adjoining roads, Charlotte's Road, probably some of the state roads in the new village. We can provide you with those traffic counts to give you an idea, if that would help you.
I think it would. The road
I think
that
it would.
turns off Charlotte's Road and goes back through the mill, through Lydia Mill, and comes back out on Highway 76, that's a pretty, yeah. I'd be interested to know what the traffic in there, because that's a cut-through road. I imagine that's fairly busy. But if we knew those two things, I think that would.
Okay, is
That
there
would help.
anything else that
Yeah.
would be helpful to you?
No, I'm just writing down what you were saying, to know who the ownership of Creighton Road is, number one, and then the traffic study, or to understand the traffic volume in that area.
Yes,
Without
So-
doing a formal study.
yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so within my rights to say, is there a motion to approve this with these concerns, with these actual concerns that we've talked about, to learn more about the owner of Creighton Road, and that a traffic study is evaluated?
Would you say a motion subject to getting that
I
additional
would
information?
recommend a motion to postpone until the
Postpone.
following items are received.
Okay.
Okay, that makes sense.
And
Is,
then that way, if it's a month or 2 months, then
Mhm.
you're covered.
okay, is there a motion for that?
And
To
a traffic
postpone.
study, what we're talking about is, the only thing it's going to provide you is delays.
The what?
The delay at an intersection.
Mm-hmm.
What what it would be today,
Mhm.
what it is today, what it would be 5 years from now,
Okay.
with a build out and without a build
Thank you.
out.
Yeah,
That's
that's-
just what it's going to
That's-
provide.
and I think the
Yeah.
traffic information would probably suffice in what we need to know.
Okay.
A traffic study from DOT, to me, wouldn't be worth $15,000 to find that out, because I don't think it'd make that big a difference what they found out.
So is there a motion to postpone with these, and to get this information when we review it? Is there a motion for that? Thank you.
So,
Okay, second. We're good. Oh, any, all in favor, raise your hand. Any opposed? Okay, one opposed.
That's
Okay.
the wrong hand.
You can provide the right of way, yes. Unless you want to provide additional information.
All that traffic
I'll
is either gonna
send
have
you
to
the
go out to
information
Charlotte's
we found,
Road
what we found.
or come
If
down
you wanna add
Peachtree
anything to
Street,
that, we're certainly
past the old
happy to
Bell
do
Street, which is now
Thank you.
USC Union,
That road, and then it'll repair.
to the stoplight.
Madam Chairman,
Well,
I'm
Yes, sir.
with myself, my wife of 58 years is preparing
The
my
volume
anniversary dinner.
homes, so we'll be paying
I need to
for the
go
road
home.
for the-
You are excused,
I
sir.
think she deserves special
Enjoy.
recognition
Enjoy
for
your-
being married before for 58 years and not throwing him out, so kudos to her.
Enjoy your
The big
anniversary.
thing is we're celebrating
she's
30 years of
blind,
marital bliss.
can't
All right.
Happy anniversary.
Yes, wonderful.
Sue Ford.
Okay, where are we all? Am I?
Other discussion items.
Okay, other discussion items. Are there any other items?
I have one item.
Mhm.
There, recently, we've been made aware of a development that Lawrence County has approved that is adjacent to the city of Clinton. And in our land use or comprehensive plan review, we talked about some options because there was discussion about providing guidance and vision for areas outside of the city limits, but within the service area of the city of Clinton. And we talked about that at our last meeting, but we really didn't have a specific idea of exactly how we would handle that. And since that meeting, we've been made aware of a development that currently would not be allowed within the city limits, but most likely will require utility service from the city. The city will not provide utility service unless the development annexes into the city. And because we don't have a zoning district that allows the particular use that they want to do, is putting them potentially in a difficult situation. This is all, we're kind of identifying that this is going to be an issue. It hasn't come to our, immediately to us, but we're envisioning this to be a situation that will be coming to us in the near future. And just so happens that we had talked about this at our last meeting. So I had provided you this page that identifies options that we identified within the comprehensive plan. Everything from requesting extraterritorial jurisdiction from Lawrence County for us to be the planning entity for areas outside the city limits, all the way to requesting the Lawrence County Planning Commission to at least provide us with their agendas, their packets in advance of their meetings, so that if there is an issue or development that's being proposed, that we can provide input into their decision. They don't have to necessarily go with what we are recommending, but at least they would have additional information to make a decision based on our plan, based on the future vision for the community. I've also provided you with the commission members. The two that are highlighted are representatives of the city of Clinton, or their area or district covers the city of Clinton, both Ron DeGary and Alan Lawson. So I provide this to you as discussion items, and if you have any direction for me, I would be happy to move forward with however you'd like to do that, whether it's a joint meeting with the planning commission, whether it's informal letter, email, however you'd like me to proceed on that. I just want to get some guidance from you guys on how to prevent some of these things from occurring in the future.
And we're talking about the RV park that they want to put behind Dollar General, is that correct?
Potentially.
Potentially, which, you know, we gave our, you know, approval to the place out there on 72, and to me, for us to allow, I don't know, it just seems to me that we are kind of going back around, kind of running an end around a little bit on them, in that, oh yeah, we'll, you know, we're going to want y'all to do this. Oh, and this one's coming in too. And I think they were very surprised to hear that last time, and as we were.
And to piggyback on that, the one we've approved on 72 has standards, guidelines,
Yeah,
rules.
Plan development.
And there are no rules for this one if it's just annexed.
I'm very in favor of this because anything that's going to hook onto our city water, our sewer, or whatever, that's why we're here, is to plan for that, control a little bit what comes in and out. And so, yes, I'm very in favor of this. Nothing against these folks on the Lawrence County. I'm sure that, they didn't know we had a project going and vice versa. But if they're going to put something that abuts up to us and wants our sewer and water and all, we need to be involved in that.
I've attended 2 of the Lawrence County Planning Commission meetings recently this year, and I was very impressed with their group. They're very conscientious, and they want to do basically the same thing we do to make sure what they're doing is going to enhance Lawrence County and Orange City and Clinton City. And I think us meeting with them and discussing things like this will be a great benefit to both of us. And I think, I know several of the members personally, they would be very receptive to doing that, as I think we should be, to sit down, even if it's an informal discussion, just sit down and have a discussion with them and tell them, this is what we think, now you tell us what you think, and we'll put our heads together and come up with something that could be mutually beneficial to both of us. I think they would be very receptive to that. I was impressed with their planning commission. They're very thoughtful, and of course, when they approved this RV park, they had no idea that we had already approved an RV park, because I asked 2 of the members that I know after the meeting, they said they had no idea.
Yeah.
Well, there's no reason they would. That's not something that's been published lately. And I said, well, I can tell you, I know what they're thinking. They're going to build it in the county, then they're going to come back and ask the city to annex it. I said, my personal opinion, that's DOA. We don't have a zone for RV parks. And so we can't approve an RV park and do not have a zone for it. The only way we could is we'd have to come back and make a zone specifically for RV parks, which I would be opposed to. We turned down the one at the end of Sloan Street. They wanted to put an RV park in the city, and we turned them down because we did not have a zoning place that it fits. So we turned them down. So if you want to do it, you got to do it in the county. And of course, they didn't do it at all because that whole project is now defunct. But this, by working with the county planning commission, with us, this would prevent stuff like this from coming up and blindsiding either one of us. And I think they would want that, and I know we would want it, but knowing some of these members, and they got a really good commission. I was impressed.
So that's number 3,
Yeah.
right, of the options? Is that what you think? Or
Let me look, let me read it again.
Well, I was looking at 3 and 4. So which one are we saying?
Yeah.
And I know some members on that committee as well.
Yeah.
Well, it can be more than one of them.
yeah.
It can be all of them.
You think all of them? Well, 3 is
Well,
talking
5
more
says
about,
make no changes.
well, 3 is saying more about
To be
notification
honest
of
with you,
requests.
I like 2, 3, and 4.
2, 3,
That
and
gives
4.
maximum contact with them, and especially 3.
Yeah, 2 will involve the city council and county council modifying potentially ordinances and requirements for that.
That'd be a little more involved, but
It
I
would
think
be
it would be
a
worth it
little
in the
bit.
long run. I mean, that's gonna take several months to get it done.
I would,
Right.
But in the long run, I think it would be advantageous
I
to
would
both of
rather
us.
city staff sit down, I would rather you, and is it Wargo at the county?
I'm not sure.
But you and the county planner sit down and discuss, and then y'all decide how it comes to us.
Well, that would be
Instead of,
number-
I don't wanna learn the
That would be
county
number 4.
ordinances
No.
to be on the planning
I
commission
would
in the
be
county. You
very
know what I'm
in favor
saying?
For Phil being our point man, but other than that, we don't know who it would be in the future, so I'm not for that. Without one of the person in the planning commission also doing it. Phil plus a member of the planning commission would be perfect to me.
Yeah, I mean, your time is already taken up once a month with these meetings. That would be another meeting a month, and, if there was something that came up, if there was something that they provided to us and it was, hey, we have an issue here, at least myself or one of you could attend that meeting and say, the city of Clinton makes a recommendation of this because it's within our jurisdiction, or we can provide it in writing, just something. But they are just like you; they are looking for information on that will help them make the decision for or against. And that's another bit of information that we can assist them, in making that decision.
I think if we had that in place when these people presented that at their last meeting, they would have turned it down, I think. Because they should know, and there's no reason for them to know, the system set for them to know. But if we do this, then it would be set up, and I think that'd be very beneficial to the county and the city. I would suggest the Lawrence City Planning Commission do the same thing. I don't know if any of them attend or not, but there's always stuff that comes up. It's better if everybody knows, if everybody's getting the same body of information and everybody's getting the same playbook. I think it helps everybody.
So are we leaning more toward number 4? Staff and or planning commission member to attend their meetings, to voice support or opposition.
I like number 2 better.
You like
They're
2
giving,
better?
well, 3 and 4, because they're giving the information directly to the planning commission through Phil. And I like that. That way nothing gets lost in the translation. And I
Well,
think-
does 4 encompass 3? 3 is saying more about a written, what's that, a
Written
written
notification,
recommendation,
yeah.
but 4 is saying more that we're talking with the staff and the planning commission member as we're voicing support or against.
Item 4 is more of, is basically, we would be like one of your constituents coming to the meeting and hearing a positive response or opposition to a request.
Okay,
The number 3 would actually provide a written recommendation.
So we would discuss
would
on
be
the
looking
RV
for.
park, and based on what we've said tonight, we would say, we do not believe an RV park would fit in our ordinances because we do not have that
Or-
zoning.
Once you approve your comprehensive plan, you will say, this request does not meet the future land use plan
Right.
of the city of Clinton, and therefore we recommend denial of the request.
I like that.
Number 3 is more formal, and it doesn't require them to not make a recommendation without our recommendation, but it provides us a way to insert a recommendation as a part of their formal packet of information. It's
Well,
going to,
Phil, would it be appropriate for us to meet with them informally and let them see this and discuss it with them and see what their thoughts are? Would that be reasonable?
I think that's always a good place to start.
Yeah.
Especially if you have those personal relationships with these individuals, where we can all sit down at the table and say, this is what we're looking at doing.
Yeah.
Do you have any concerns about that? Is this the best way to handle this? That
Ju-
kind of thing.
Just in attending those 2 meetings, I don't see anybody on this list that I would not feel comfortable sitting down at a table and discussing anything that affected either the county or the city, and I think they'd be equally receptive. They got a good planning commission.
So where is the approval of this RV park? It has been approved by county, but the city,
My understanding is that it has been approved by Lawrence County. However, they have not approached the city for utility service.
so do we need to make a motion on what we think the best process would be tonight? Is that,
You don't necessarily need to make a motion, but if you could give me direction, whether you want me to set up a meeting, whether you prefer one of these options over another, and you want me to go ahead and make an informal request to their staff, any of that kind of stuff, I'll be glad to move forward in any way that you would like.
I like 3 with the option for members of the City of Clinton Planning Commission to go to those meetings and voice their opinions in
Yeah.
person as well.
Now, let me say this, just a place to start. Let's have an informal meeting with them and we can discuss these 2 things and see what they think about them, because I think it's important to
I
know
like
what they
that.
think
I
too.
like that.
And then that way we can choose one or both, but depending
Then
on
we
our
can
meetings
decide.
with them and get their
Yeah.
input. Because I think they would appreciate it if we asked them before we made a decision, if we
Yes, I
asked them
agree.
what we're thinking about.
I agree
Yeah.
with that.
I think
Informal
that would-
first.
That would create a lot of goodwill with them, and I think
Yes.
that would, a good starting point.
But that would be,
Yeah.
are they coming here, we're going there?
We'll figure that one out.
Okay.
Do you
Yeah.
have a preference?
I don't care.
Um,
They meet in the building where the courthouse is, the building over to the right. They meet in a room there.
Okay,
Yeah.
I mean, for me, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't.
Whatever y'all prefer. It would be great to have all of you, but it's not necessary that we have everyone. If you can't make it, I'll work with them on some dates and
Yeah.
some locations, and then I'll give it back to you. If you could just let me know of those dates I give you and times, which work best for you.
We couldn't.
Question. Now, the room that they meet in Lawrence, is that like a round table or is that like this forum?
They've got a table up front, and then they got chairs around there, but it could easily be made as a kind of a round
Okay.
table, pull the chairs around. It's not as big as this room, but it's probably, I'd say, half, maybe a little bigger than half the size of this room. It's a pretty good sized room.
We can bring in tables here if we
Yeah.
need to. We have 2 meeting rooms depending on how many people we'll have. So there's some options. I'm sure
If,
they have some.
another option would be, if we want to meet on neutral ground, we can meet at the Chamber of Commerce. And they have a conference room set up with a table all around, because they used to
They
be on
sure
the
do.
board that met there.
And-
And that would be enough seating to accommodate all
That's
them
true.
and all of us.
I
And
like
I'm-
that.
I'm sure the chamber would be glad for us to use that room anytime, that they weren't using it, they don't use it that much.
I like that.
That way, they wouldn't have to drive as far, and we wouldn't have to drive as far either.
I agree. I like that.
Yeah.
You're talking about the Lawrence Chamber of Commerce,
Yeah.
correct? Yeah,
Yes,
I like,
ma'am.
I've seen
Lawrence
that
County
room. I've
Chamber of
spoken
Commerce.
at that one before, that meeting before, so
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
that would be good.
And I'm sure they'd be glad for us to.
Neutral
to
ground.
use it if we- yeah. But I just think that'd be a good first step. That would create a lot of goodwill. And I think when you meet the members of this committee, I think you'll think, well, golly, they're doing, they want to do the same thing we want to do. And I think that it would be the start of a really good beneficial relationship for the county and the city.
I agree.
That's a good idea, Phil. Thank you for working on this list. That gave us a good starting point.
Okay,
Yeah.
are there any other discussions or business that we need to take?
I'd like to say one thing quickly. I've looked through this, and there's been a lot of, I don't understand, there's a difference between a manufactured home and a modular home. We need a definition somewhere in our code that defines manufactured home and modular home.
Your
'Cause
building,
that
your
comes-
building code does that.
Well, we need to know that, because I can't find it anywhere that gives a definite, some places refer to manufacturers, some places refer to mobile homes, some places refer to modular. I know a manufactured home and a modular home are not the same thing, but there's no real definition in there. If we had a clear definition of both and could include that in our code, I think that would make a big difference. It'd help us make decisions that come up, because there's a place for both. We got to figure out exactly what they are, so we know which place they belong in. Like the place we looked at tonight, RMH, that is a place for manufactured homes. You probably, now that we're gonna add the single family, that you could probably put a modular home in there too. Correct, so that could be a combination for both. But that's unique, because we don't have that many zones that are RMH. I think we only have 5, maybe.
That's
About right. And probably not gonna have any more, so, but I just think if we had that in there and spell that out, it would help everybody to understand that more clearly. And I don't think it's that big a deal, but I don't know. I've asked several people, and I've got varying answers, and now I'm more confused than I was when I started.
The biggest
That's why I
thing,
think we
biggest
need to
thing
do it.
is wheels and the frame on a mobile
Yeah,
home, and
yeah.
it can be moved. A manufacturing home has to be brought in either whole or in pieces and set up.
Okay.
A
If
lot
we
of
had
that,
that in writing, I think that
a
would
lot
help
of
us
that,
out.
insurance companies have determined over the years.
Yeah. That might be a good place to
And-
ask,
Also,
yeah.
it's the building code. So
Yeah.
They're all
Yeah.
different.
Yeah.
Is there a report from the planning director? Any other recommendations or reports?
Phil, excuse me.
Go ahead.
I'm gonna ask you, Phil, can you give us an update on the baseball thing? I know that, people are curious and hope it goes. What is the latest with that?
There have been no additional modifications or information related to that. I believe they're doing the due diligence and most likely probably moving forward with trying to get contractors online for like clearing and grubbing and all that kind of stuff for them, because they have a lot of land that they have to move around and getting all the permits for like land disturbance and that kind of thing.
And have there been any papers signed or anything like that, or right now it's just still?
I'm not sure about that.
It's my understanding that there are 50 baseball teams coming this weekend for a tournament.
Is this weekend?
And
To where?
I think it's this weekend.
To where?
That's right.
Where are they gonna play?
They're using every field they can find. That ought to be a pretty good indicator
Absolutely.
of what
Yeah, that's good.
that baseball complex can do for the city of Clinton. Because you're talking 50 teams, that's probably 600 kids, and I don't know, what, 550 families maybe? different families.
You'll have two.
They gotta eat,
kids.
they gotta get gas, they're gonna be thirsty.
That's good. It's a good thing.
I think that's this weekend, I'm not positive. I was told last weekend about it,
Okay.
so.
Mhm. That'll be great. Any other questions? Anything unresolved?
Can't think of anything.
Okay, is there I have no reports or recommendations. Is there a motion to adjourn?
That's a move.
I second it.
Okay, we are
All
adjourned.
right, we're done. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Good meeting.
Excellent meeting.
Hey, what's the date of the
Snacks
next
didn't
meeting?
meet.
I don't know.
So what?
The snacks didn't meet our.
Is that the 7th?